I've got here is a test garden, and of these there's probably 28 plants here, and of these I'm going to save about 10 of them. The rest we tested them, we've decided we don't want them anymore, and we're just going to dispose of those, and we're going to go on with the save about half of them here. And that's what's going on right now. We're tearing some out as we get to them. Those are the ones that are going out. This is the first one we're going to save. What we're going to do here first is we're going to get the label of the plant on the part that's still standing up. Very important to keep everything labeled so that you know which plant is which. Got the plant labeled, and now I've got to dig it out, and it's important that I'm careful with it. I've got to be careful not to cut any of the tubers out. So I'll dig around 10 inches away from the center of this plant. All right, I've gone around it, and I'll grab this panel, this portion here, and lift up at the same time. There, damaged nothing. Everything looks in good shape. Now these are first year I collected seeds from these plants, and I plant them. I plant them and I harvest them, and after I plant the seeds, and at the end of the year I'll have tubers in. So this is the second year. What we're looking for here are seeds, and if we look at these two examples, here is a plant. This is ready to blossom, shortly to be blooming. This is one that's done blooming and has kind of a football shape, a round shape. Now we see a football shape, cone shaped, half a football. Okay, those are our seeds, our seed pockets. So we'll cut those off, and I'm cutting the length of convenient length for me, which is about here. Looks like they're about 6 inches long. And I'll take, whoops, I'll take these seeds, stick them in a jar. This is simply water, and I'll leave them in there for about a month. In a month, these will be brown. The seeds will have processed, and they're ready to harvest. But you might as well wait till you're ready to plant them in the spring before you open them up. There's just no reason to. They'll stay fine in that container. In about a month, you'll take them out of the water. So in human beings, the DNA, we gather DNA information from the set of the parents. So we've got 2 sets of DNA. In the dahlias, we have 4 choices from each plant. So when you combine those, we have a choice of 8 different DNA strands to choose from when we get the seeds. It's a real mix. We have no idea which one of those it'll be. Oftentimes, it's closely related to the plant that you're looking at, but not necessarily. You can get white plants. If you've never had a white blossom, you might find one in the seeds. You might variable colors. You have no idea. That's what makes it so fun. So this is the Seedling Garden, and all these plants are one of a kind, and they come from seeds, unlike a tuber, and we'll grow them for this year. And at the end of the season, like right now, we'll have tubers, just like a regular dahlia plant. And I started here with about 35 plants, and I'm going to keep about 11 of them that I find worthy enough to keep for another year and go on to my next garden. And this is probably my favorite flower here this year in this seedling garden. seeds I gather from the dahlias in my garden that I've so that's my source. You can buy them. A lot of plant breeders will and sellers sell packages of 100 of them for like about $10. So they're available a lot of places if you don't grow your own. Every time I have a seedling, I have no idea what it's going to look like. So I have to grow it and see what type of blossom it shows before I decide whether or not I like it. Nice. That's a lot of nice. That's a good quantity of tubers out of a seedling. Nice. I'm pleased with that. Here's one bent loose. It's of no value. That's scrap. Here's one right here that's growing. There's a tuber started and there's something growing in the middle of the tuber. That's of no value. So that's garbage also. So the next phase will be washing. Try not to get your wet. So what I'm doing is I've washed these off and I'm getting them ready to break them up into pieces. And I'll cut each one of these into tubers, each one of these tubers into a single plant. And so essentially something like this gives me potentially probably 4 plants after I cut this up. Each one will be a full-size plant. Or I could put this whole thing in the ground and I'd have one big plant that would look a little more like a shrub. But I never do that. But some people do. So this is the 1 gallon of water to 1 tablespoon of a fungicide. This one I'm using a fungal, but it's a fungicide suitable for soaking. So we'll be putting the dahlias in this and soaking them for about 10 minutes before we take them out. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is treat my tools with bleach, 1/10 bleach and 9/10 water, and this just cleans them off. And I'll do that every time I change plants. Every plant I'll clean my tools. So the first thing, I'm going to look at this plant and I want to cut anything that I can get out of my way. So I'll start by cutting the roots. We do not need them. And I'll also cut off anything that looks really small. I know it won't last the summer or the winter. It won't store well. And that would be something like this. It's of no use. First thing I'm going to want to remove is the mother plant, or the mother tuber, which is this one right here. You can see the obvious age on that. And I'm just going to try to snap that off. That's useless. That's old. All right. So now when I'm looking for a tuber that I try to have every tuber connected to this stem, because I know that where this tuber connects that stem, there's going to be an eye, and each plant or each tuber has to have one plant. Now I don't know where that eye is at this time, so I'm guessing, and I know it has to be around that. Right here where it connects onto the stem, that's where there's going to be a tuber. So I'll try to cut every tuber that I save will be connected to that stem some way. There'll be a portion of it cut into that. And I want to look at a plan of how I'm going to attack this. And one of the ways is cutting it in half from the stem. And I see a pretty clear path. Okay, that's of no value. Okay, so we've got into two sections and we can start seeing pieces clearing up a little bit. I'm going to start with this one right here. Oops. Cut over here. And let's look at what I cut. There's probably an eye in this area right here. That's close to the stem. That's part of the stem that's connected to. And I have to clean this up a little bit. Looks like I have about 7. I would probably guess 5 of those 7 will be viable. I don't know which ones, but let's guess about that. So I've got them cut, and now I will soak them. And I'll just drop them in here, and be aware that there's 7 in there. And while I'm soaking that, I cut another one. After 10 minutes, we're going to take these plants into the garage, and I'll be setting them on a screen similar to this, and drying them for a day. After I dry them for a day, I can label them. And once I'm labeled them, that's very important, so that I know which plants I have. I want to talk about the quality of these tubers, and it's really based on the growing season. And this growing season, the beginning of the year, we had extreme water, and I had which affected the what we call the mother tuber, the tuber that the plant grows from. And just about all of those this year, the mother tuber was rotted out. Now, that's very unusual, and I believe that was caused by the extra moisture we had this spring. And that's going to affect my dahlia tubers. And also at the end of the year, we had this dry spell. And so what I ended up with is tubers that are basically soft and are shrinking away. Let's give you an example of this one. Shrinking like this, shrinking like that. And that was due to the quality of these tubers, and it has to do with the growing season itself. So I am concerned about that. So I'll pack them up and we'll see what happens in the spring. Okay, I'm done labeling all my tubers, and I'm let them dry for approximately 2 to 3 days. And now we're gonna put them for storage for the rest of the winter. bag is labeled for the type of, for the dahlia. And I will be storing them in vermiculite. And every plant has its own bag. So that I keep every plant separated from every other plant. And that has to do with protecting it from diseases. And so I'll put it in here, all these tubers in here, and they have to be covered with the vermiculite. All right, they're all covered. And I will give them a small shot of moisture. And then I will close up this container, except for a small portion right here, so that it can vent slightly. And then we'll just put them away, which would be now we have them all prepared for storage, but I'm going to leave them out here in the garage until it's almost freezing, at which time I'm going to take them in the garage, in the house, and put them in their permanent storage, and I won't be seeing them again until the middle of February. Next time I'll be looking at them. Okay, so here's where I'm stored them. Oops. Stored them all winter. Can we see here? Or let's take a look at these. It's the first time I've seen them since November. So, there's a, see how they're all dried up, wilted? But I also see buds. See the eyes? See the little eyes right there? So even though this is in bad shape, it's alive. Let's just take a look at another one. This looks a little better. Again, a little bit dried up, and I don't see any buds on this yet, but this is early. Yeah, see, they're all showing kind of a dried up look. These would be my best ones. These are the dahlias that I've grown before, that I've purchased. The seedlings. And we're going to look at a group of seedlings and we'll see how disastrous those are. I haven't seen them for a while. They look bad in October. Okay, these are seedlings, plants that I grew from seed, And this will be some of their second year and some of their third year. Let's take a look at these. And these really looked bad last fall. Again, all wrinkled up, looking rather dry. But there's enough moisture in these that they're alive. I think they're gonna grow for me. So in here I've got about 150 tubers in those 6 boxes. And I'm taking them out of the cold storage now, and we're going to keep them at room temperature to start warming them up. And in about a month we'll be planting them. All right, it's February 22nd, and we're going to get ready to plant the seeds from our dahlias. What I've done is I've prepared the soil in these little squares, and I'll put 1 seed in each one, and I'll cover it up. The soil is already wet, dampened, and I'll be putting the seeds on top of these. We'll put another layer of soil over them, and then we'll put them on this heated tray, or this heat pad, which has a temperature of about 70 degrees. That'll warm up from the bottom, and until these seeds sprout and show green, there's no need for lights. All I need is warmth. So I've got the seeds covered now. They will be sprouting anywhere from 2 days to next 2 or 3 weeks. As they sprout, I will turn on the lights so they can start growing above the ground. The lights do no good until they've sprouted. All right, so this is what I'm growing it in. These are the seedlings, or the seeds, heat pad, and a light above them. So right now, probably about half of them are in. As you can see, they vary. Some of these will blossom or start budding about 30 days, 15 days from now, 30 days from now, I don't know. Some are growing up and they're a couple inches. Okay, let's get some of these bigger ones, this bigger one out of here, and we'll transplant that and put it in normal places. Nice root development. This plant looks real nice. Now this water, or the soil, has been pre-wetted, so it's all ready to receive a plant. Let's go a little less deep. Okay, I think that'll do it. And now that'll go into the natural lighting situation, with just light, no heat from underneath. And these will go ahead and get covered up again, put them in their little aquarium. That's what. I guess we're the last day of March, and I've had these out here warming up, just weather, no sun on them, no lights or anything. And let's just see what we got here. Let's just look at a couple of them. Well, see anything? Oh, here we go. So they're some are just getting started. There's one in this one. Let's see what we got here. Same thing, they're starting. Well, I was hoping I could find one that was developed a little more, but we'll let that go. And if they get, I'm not going to be planting them until almost the end of April. And here's an example. By the end of the April, this will probably be about 2 inches, 2.5 inches long. I can cut this, I can just break this off now. It's going to be growing too big. So I'll just break this one off right now. It doesn't affect anything. Actually, it'll come back, and instead of one of these, there'll probably be 2 of them on that plant. As you can see, in a month that'll be growing again. There'll probably be a couple of them there. Right here we've got our incubation area, and we've been taking a couple plants out every week. Once we get big enough, we'll put them out in the greenhouse, and there they'll get natural sunlight and they'll really start to grow. And this is just, we're waiting for them to grow. And let's show you how we plant them. Here's a typical tuber, and this is the time when I start to plant them, when they have a bud on the center of them growing, and I can see it, rather than putting them in a pot and water and sitting and waiting for them longer to grow. Now the soil I'm going to use, the brand doesn't matter, it's a potting mix. It's a lighter soil, much different than what you would if you dug it out of your ground, out of your garden. This is much lighter. It has some artificial things and just a lot of fiber. It even has something that looks like little cotton things. It's a real mix of stuff. Okay, I'll just break up pieces, and now I'm going to add water to this so that I can have it completely evenly watered and not worry about not getting parts of it unwatered. We have a good beginning growth for this plant. I probably won't put water on this for another at least a week, possibly 2 weeks. So we're all set for it after today. It's clumping. That tells me I've got enough moisture in that. With that clumping like this, holding together a little bit, but nothing squeezing out of it. There's not water dribbling out of this. Okay. I'll be setting it in basically flat with maybe the buds just slightly higher if I have room, and then I'll be filling it up with about 3 inches of the soil above that plant for it, and it takes a couple weeks, usually a week at least, to grow through that. Now I remember I also there was a I don't know if we saw the letters on that tuber, but I'll be marking this also so that we don't lose the name. There we go. This is a typical size. I love to plant these. They fit nice in the pots. And then we've got these. This is 9.5 inches long. And quite honestly, they're both going to grow nice plants. Size just doesn't matter. That's all there is to it. These are my seedlings on this side. The plants were started by seeds. They were started in February. Okay. On this side we have the tubers that I started on April 15th. And you can see the progression here. This, you know, this was like May 1st. This was May 4th, and I just brought these in today, May 6th. You know, they're just growing quickly. Well, this natural light is awesome. Plants really jump out and grow now. Yeah, that red watering bottle. We've got to water these before we pull them out of here. if we pull them out and they're dry, they just fall apart. If you water them, we'll just let them sit a little bit and get our holes started. And it just stops them from falling apart when you transplant them. Otherwise, you'll lose all this if they're dry. Using bone meal, and I'll use bone meal in every hole, and I'll use 1 tablespoon per plant, as I say, about 4 square feet. And then I'll also add, I'm just using, this is it's a full term and slow release fertilizer, and so I'll put that in here also. Also 1 tablespoon per plant. So, and we're covering about, we're covering about 4 square feet is what we're covering on, and that's what we're figuring these amounts for. So this morning we're planting seedlings. We have no idea what they're going to look like, and so we're going to be planting them, and we don't know what they're going to look like, so we don't care which one we plant where, really. We just want them in a line. There's even tubers coming up right now. We have some tuber development before we even plant permanently. Looks like everything is going good here. So I'm going to break open these corners, and I want to open up the bottom. Otherwise I'll end up with a big square here. So I have to open it up. Mix that soil in this, get a nice base started, and I'm going to plant this. So on this one I'll be about 1/2 inch to 1 inch below the soil is what I'm aiming for. Put one netting at 2 foot of height and another one at 4 feet. It'll be up here, and we'll just let these plants grow through it. And we won't have to tie them to a stake or do anything like that. This is a lot less work. Okay, now we're putting this guard up to protect from rabbits, because last year they were eating them all in this garden. There's a lot of rabbits here. This should take care of it. Okay, we'll have to pull that in. It's the middle of August, and my garden's it's awake now. It's ready. This is what I've been waiting for. Everything's happening right now, and I'm really satisfied with it. I've had problems this summer or this winter saving dahlia tubers. I just wanted to mention that I've got a lot of tubers that I got from my daughter-in-law's sister, who happens to live in the state of Washington, and she's a dahlia grower. And she came to my rescue and sent me about 10 dahlias for my garden. My garden's different colors than I usually have, but it's new and it's different. I probably have 10 or 12 new ones, and not colors that I chose. I like other colors. So, but it's been a lot of, it's been a strange year for me to start so negative with everything from the winter, and you get to this. And I just, the thing about this, I find it really relaxing working in this garden. When you're working real hard, you're sweating, it's the middle of summer, you're dirty, I just love it.